train carriage in an ecstasy of excitement. The pounding of my heart mimicked that of the train that bore me through the night, away from my girlhood, away from the quiet of my mother's apartment, into the unguessable country of marriage.
Dodgy.
I imagined how my mother would be moving around the narrow bedroom I had left behind forever, folding up and putting away all my relics. She would linger over the faded photograph with all the half-joyous, half-sorrowful emotions of a woman on her daughter's wedding day. My eagle-featured, indomitable mother, who else could boast that their mother had outfaced a junk full of Chinese pirates, nursed a village through the visitation of the plague, shot a man-eating dragon,
Well, that's what the gun.
with her own hand,
Ooh.
and all before
Ooh.
she was as old as I.
Ooh.
I felt a pang of loss, as if when he put the gold ring on my finger, I had, in some way, ceased to be her child in becoming his wife.
Are you sure? Are you sure you love him?
I'm sure I want to marry him.
As long as you're happy. Remember to practice your piano.
Yes.
I can understand her scepticism. My mother had beggared herself for love. One day, her gallant husband never returned from the wars, leaving his wife and a child a legacy of tears that can never quite be dried. He left behind a cigar box full of medals and the antique service revolver that my mother always kept in her handbag. Why, Mother, must you always carry that silly toy in your handbag?
You never know when you might need it. Besides, it reminds me of your father.
Now then, with a starburst of light splattered against my window, as if the railway company had lit up the carriage in celebration of the bride. He was older than I. He was much older than I. There were streaks of pure silver in his dark mane. But his strange, heavy, almost waxen face was not lined by experience. Experience seemed to have washed it perfectly smooth, like a stone on a beach eroded by the tide. I was 17 and knew nothing of the world. My Marquis had been married before, more than once, and I remained a little bemused that after all those others, he should now have chosen me. Indeed, was he still not mourning for his last wife? My mother was not impressed.
You must know he's been married 3 times and to 3 different women. An artist's model.
That's what you thought.
An opera singer. And of course, a countess.
And now, Mother, to demonstrate the diversity of his taste, he has invited me to join this gallery of beautiful women. The train slowed, shuddered to a halt. Lights, clank of metal, a voice declaring the name of an unknown, never to be visited station. Silence of the night, the rhythm of his breathing that I should sleep with for the rest of my life. The first grey steamers of the dawn now flew in the sky, and an eldritch half-light seeped into the railway carriage. The Marquis was already there at the station, eyeing me. Was he comparing me to the Countess, the artist model, the opera singer? I hid behind my furs as if they were a system of soft shields.
Welcome, madam. At once we will return to my humble abode, and there we will live out the rest of our lives together. Like 2 pigeons on one nest, like 2 blossoms on the same stem, cheek to cheek and breast to breast, locked together in my nest.
Oh, it's beautiful, my darling. The sea, the sand, Oh, and a sky that almost melts into the sea.
And look, my love, look upon my castle. This castle, at home neither on the land nor on the water, a mysterious amphibious place. Welcome home. Here it will be easy for you to be content. In the turret you can gaze out over the Atlantic and imagine yourself queen of the sea. Now come with me, for first you must see my library.
What thickens?
Oh. What's in? Listen to
Observe, my precious little cherub, how upon row of leather-bound row volumes, brown and olive, gold lettering on the spines. All the classics are here. Hamlet, War and Peace, and even the social license to operate. And of course, the grand piano, so my little songstress can play to her heart's delight.
Oh, lucky thing.
Oh, how delightful! If only I had 1,000 lives so that I could read every book on these shelves. But wait! What books are these? They look so peculiar.
Oh.
Oh, my little nun has found the prayer books, has she?
Prayer.
Have the nasty pictures scared baby? Baby mustn't play with grown-ups' toys until she's learned how to handle them, mustn't she? Now back to the business of our marriage. These are the keys to the kitchens. This is the key to the picture gallery, a treasure home filled by 5 centuries of collectors. Here is the key to the china cabinet, and finally a key to the locked room where 5 generations of silver are kept.
Whoa.
But what about that key?
Yes.
You were about to unfasten it before you slipped it back into your pocket. What is that key? Is it the key to your heart? Let me see it, my love.
No, not the key to my heart. Rather, the key to my hell.
Ooh.
Every man must have one secret, even only one, from his wife. Promise me this, my white-faced piano player. Promise me you will use all the keys on the ring except the last one that I showed you. Play with anything you find, jewels, silver plates, make toy boats out of my share certificates if you want, and send them sailing off to me in America.
America? But it is the night of our wedding.
Oh yes, sorry, my love, but I have urgent business to attend to. But we will spend hundreds of moons and hundreds of suns together upon my return, until the end of our golden lives. Now remember, all is yours, everywhere is open to you, except the lock that this single key fits. I am going to hide it away so you don't have to worry your pretty little head about it.
But where does the key lead to, my dearest?
It's the key to a little room at the foot of the West Tower, behind the still room, at the end of a dark little corridor full of horrid cobwebs that would get into your hair and frighten you if you ventured there. You'll find it such a dull little room, but you must promise me, if you love me, to leave it well alone. It's only a private study, a hideaway, a den, in the English way, where I can go when the weight of marriage is too heavy on my shoulders. There I can go, you understand, to savour the rare pleasures of imagining myself wifeless.
I see.
What's it?
Promise you'll call as soon as you get to America.
Why, of course, my little dove.
Wrapped in my furs, I saw him to the door, and then he left, and I was all alone. I had drowsed away that afternoon, and now I could not sleep. I lay tossing and turning in my bed. I lay in my bed alone. and I longed for him, and he disgusted me.
Oh.
And what, precisely, was the nature of my dread for this mysterious being who had abandoned me on my wedding night? But at least I had my piano. After 3 hours of practice, I called in the piano tuner to thank him. He was blind but young, with a gentle mouth and grey eyes that fixed upon me, although they could not see me.
It's a pleasure to meet you and to know that this old piano will finally get some use.
Thank you, good sir. Days passed like an eternity, and still no word from my husband. I spent the hours exploring the castle, trying each key in the lock, and playing my piano, of course. One particularly miserable day, I spent ploughing through the social license. I noticed out of the corner of my eye a silvery glint lodged between 2 books on the shelf. As I approached, I knew the source of glimmer at once. It was the forbidden key.
Yes.
Later that day, I decided to call my mother. I had been hoping to delay the call as long as I could, so that I had something to look forward to in the dead waste of time before. But by this evening, I could contain myself no longer. I telephoned her and astonished myself by bursting into tears when I heard her voice.
What's wrong? Are you not happy there?
No, nothing is the matter, Mother. I have gold bath taps. Gold bath taps.
That's nothing to cry about.
Well, no, I suppose that's nothing to cry about, Mother.
Do you need me to...
The line went dead.
Oh.
I could hardly make out her congratulations, her questions, her concern, but I was a little comforted when I put the receiver down. The evening came and I had but one thing on my mind. Where did the key lead? I had to find out. Strangely, I felt no fear. Now I walked as firmly as I had done in my mother's house. I put a match to my little candle and advanced with to the door. And now I will relive for you, dear audience, what I saw.
Yes, end of the sea.
Okay.
Oh. Oh, it's a coffin.
Wow.
Wow.
Instruments of mutilation! Everywhere! Look! A metal figure! The Iron Maiden! And what's in the centre? A coffin? I can almost smell death. Oh God! It's the artist's model! The first of his wives!
Oh, gee.
And here is the opera singer, naked, underneath a thin sheet of rare and precious linen.
Oh, gee.
She's been embalmed. Look on her throat, the imprint of the strangler's fingers. And worse, her dead lips seem to smile. What about the Romanian countess? She must be here too. The Iron Maiden emits a ghostly twang.
Oh.
There she is, trapped forever in this unholy place.
Oh.
Oh God, look! The key! It's stained with blood.
Oh.
I must get out of this prison, this hell.
Mm.
Oh, Mum.
Assistance! My mother! But of course, the phone line is dead.
Yeah.
As dead as his wives. I set myself the therapeutic task of playing all Bach's equations, every one.
Equation.
And I told myself, if I played them all through the night without a single mistake, Then the morning would find me once more a virgin. His silver-headed cane!
Wow, what's that?
What else? Sly cunning, he has returned. He is waiting for me outside the door.
Oh,
Come in.
oh no, it's a
Forgive
piano
me.
tuner.
Forgive me. I know I've given you grounds for dismissing me, that I should be crouching outside your door at midnight. But I heard you walking about, up and down, and some intuition told me you could not sleep, and might perhaps pass the insomniac hours at your piano, and I couldn't resist that.
It's perfect. The piano perfectly in tune.
When I heard you play this afternoon, I thought I'd never heard such a touch, such technique, a treat for me to hear a virtuoso. So I crept up to your door now, humbly as a little dog might, madame, and put my ear to the keyhole and listened until my stick fell to the floor through a moment of clumsiness, and I was discovered.
I was perfectly in tune, perfectly in tune.
You are in some great distress. No bride should suffer so much, so early in her marriage.
Any bride brought to this castle should come ready dressed in mourning, should bring a priest and a coffin with her.
What's this?
It was too late to keep silent. If he were one of my husband's puppets, then at least he'd been kind to me. So I told him everything about the keys, the forbidden room, the rat, the skull, the corpses, the blood.
I can scarcely believe it. That man, so rich, so well born.
Here's proof.
Oh God, I can smell the blood.
You. Oh, look at it. Oh.
We whisper all manner of strange tales up and down the coast. There was a marquis once who used to hunt young girls on the mainland. He hunted them with dogs as though they were foxes.
Oh.
My grandfather heard it from his grandfather, and how this marquis pulled a head out of his saddlebag and showed it to the blacksmith while the man was shoeing his horse. A fine specimen of a horse, eh? It was the head of the blacksmith's wife.
Oh.
Oh, madame, I thought all these were old wives' tales to scare bad children into good behaviour. Hark, the sea has changed key. It must be near morning. The tide is going down.
Look out the window, towards the mainland. I feel a horror, a horror I cannot express through words.
Oh.
There, look out by the distance, but drawing closer moment by moment. I see the twin headlamps of his great black car through the shifting mist. My husband has returned.
The key, it must go back on the shelf as though nothing had happened.
But it's stained in blood. I scrubbed the stain with my nail brush and water, but it would still not budge. I thought how the car would be rolling silently towards the closed courtyard gate. The more I scrubbed the key, the more vivid grew the stain. I hid it back on the shelf.
Out round spot.
You have no more time. He is here. I know it. I must stay with you.
You shall not. Go to your room now, please. Leave me.
3, 5, 4, 1.
Oh.
I smell the blood of an English woman.
Ah.
Dearest, it's time to resume our interrupted pleasures. But first I must compose myself. Now, where are my keys? Of course, I gave the keys to you.
Your keys? Oh, why, of course. Here they are. Wait a moment. What? No. Where could I have left them?
Go and get them.
Now? This moment? Can't it wait until morning, my darling?
No, it won't wait. Now. Oh, my love. Oh, my dear, I can tell something is wrong. Now. What's on the shelf?
Nothing, my dear. It is the key that leads to my secret.
Falsely, sorry. Ah! It is the key that leads to my secret kingdom, stained in the blood of your guilt. Oh, my little darling, my little darling who brought me the white gift of music, kneel. You must prepare yourself for martyrdom.
What form shall it take?
Decapitation.
Oh my goodness.
I shall take myself off to the armory, my dear, to sharpen my great-grandfather's sword. Go now, bathe yourself, dress yourself. After that, the sacrifice. Wait in the library until I'm ready.
Get the piano tuner, quick. Come on.
I thought you had gone. If he finds you here, he will kill you too. I can't do anything to avoid my fate, but you might still escape.
You do not deserve this, and I will not leave.
Who can say what I deserve? I've done nothing, but that might be enough reason for condemning me.
You disobeyed him, and for that reason he will punish you,
I only did what I knew he would.
like poor Eve.
Shall I come up to heaven to fetch you down? No, dear, you wicked woman. Do you wish to compound? Oh dear, you wicked woman, do you wish to compound my crimes with another soul I must murder? Well, so be it. Let the blind lead the blind, eh? Give me my ring back, you whore. It will serve me for a dozen more fiancés.
She hasn't done anything wrong.
Now, to the block woman. No, leave the boy, I shall deal with him later.
Okay. I thought he was going to save her. Dear. Oh, the piano's gone.
Slowly, one foot before the other, I crossed the cobbles.
Don't loiter, girl. Do you think I shall lose my appetite for the meal if you are so long about serving it? No. I grow even hungrier, more ravenous with each moment, more cruel.
Oh dear.
Run to me, run. I have a place prepared for your delicious corpse in my display of flesh.
He raised the sword and cut bright segments from the air with it. But still I lingered, although my hopes had so recently raised had now begun to flag.
Oh gee.
Such a pretty neck.
Oh.
A neck like the stem of a young plant.
Oh.
A little green moss would be the last thing I would see in all the world.
Oh, what's that?
What's that noise? Ow, ouch!
I bit him and ran to the gate. Someone was at the gate. I watched as the puppet master, open mouthed, saw his dolls break free of their strings, abandon the rituals he had ordained for them since time began, and start to live for themselves. The king, aghast, witnesses the revolt of his pawns. You never saw such a wild thing as my mother. Her hat seized by the winds and blown out to sea so that her hair was her white mane, her skirts tucked around her waist, one hand on the reins of the rearing horse while the other clasped in my father's revolver.
She's going to shoot him.
Behind her, the breakers of the savage, indifferent sea, like the witnesses of a furious justice. My husband stood still, as if he had been Medusa, the sword still raised over his head, as in those puppet shows of Bluebeard that you see at the fairs. On her 18th birthday, my mother had disposed of a man-eating dragon that had ravaged the villages in the hills north of Hanoi. Now, without a moment's hesitation, she raised my father's gun,
Bang.
took aim, and put a single bullet through my husband's head.
Oh!
Aha.
Mother! My dear mother! How did you come to know I was here?
Yes.
Maternal telepathy, running to the station as soon as I could. I never heard you cry before, not even when you were happy. And whoever cried because of gold bath tax. I got the train as soon as the call ended. When I couldn't find a taxi, I borrowed this old horse from a local farmer. An internal urgency told me that I must come before the tide shut you off from me forever. I'm here now, and you are safe.
We lead a quiet life, the three of us now. I inherited, of course, enormous wealth, but we have given most of it away to various charities, like the Dogs Trust. The castle is now a school for the blind, though I pray the children who live there are not haunted by any sad ghosts crying for the husband who will never return to the bloody chamber, the contents of which are buried or burned and the door sealed.
Aye, aye, aye.
Well, did